and let's say you're an entrepreneur and now you have multiple companies. You know, you've taken that next step. Well, does the debt in company A, how does that affect company B and vice versa? And what's the overall, what we call in banking, global cash flow? What does that look like? If company A is really struggling, is that just going to suck all the money from company B? And if we have debt to company B, what does that mean for the bank? Okay, the third area that we look at is collateral. And I touched on that earlier. So collateral is basically considered the back door, okay? We don't make a loan based on collateral because that's probably not a good way to go into the loan, right? I'm going to plan on, you know, repossessing something from you or liquidating one of your assets, and I'm going to, you know, sell it enough to pay off the loan. I mean, typically that just doesn't happen. Plus, it's very expensive. And so, but it's a part of it because we have to have some type of security to secure the loan. And so, you know, collateral, you know, like it says, it's a secondary source of repayment. You know, it's all a part of the process. But again, if you don't have cash flow, we're not even going to get to this point. And then, talking about collateral, you know, I touched on personal assets. You know, a lot of times entrepreneurs in their business, they don't maybe have a ton of business assets, but they have personal assets that they can put up. And the bank is going to look at those to get security if they can't get secured in the business assets. Plus, if a business owner isn't willing to put up personal assets, then it probably means that they're not willing to put the risk in as well. And so that's going to kind of give the bank a little bit of a negative impression.
What if you don't have a lot of collateral?
I'm going to get that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to get there. That's a great question, though. I kind of touched on this already. You can go through that. You know, to evaluate collateral, you know, we'll do appraisals, things like that. We'll look at, let's say you have a securities account and you have stocks in it. We'll see what the value is. We can take security in that. And then, like I said, also bank statements. You know, what cash is sitting in your checking account today. Okay, capital. So capital is basically the business's ability to sustain a downturn. So I'm not necessarily I'm talking about the capital that is literally in the business. Capital also that the borrower has themselves. They have cash themselves. And when businesses come in and say, hey, I have a project I'm working on, it's, you know, the total cost to open up my restaurant is $100,000. Okay, well, how much money do you have saved up to put into it yourself? Oh, I don't have anything. Well, it's going to be tough for you to get a secured bank note because we want the business owner to have some skin in the game. You know, it's basically if you don't have any capital to put into your business, then who's taking all the risk? The bank, right? And we like to make money on our money, and if the business owner doesn't have their own money in it, then how motivated are they to pay back our money? When I started, so I didn't give you my banking history. I came over to Union Bank in 2007, and prior to that I was at Nelmet. And so I came into banking when kind of the stuff was hitting the fan as far as the economy goes. And so like the good old days of banking were like, they were no more. And when I started as a credit analyst, did underwriting. Basically, I did what I'm talking about today every day, reviewing credits and underwriting. And then I moved into lending in 2009. And so when I went into lending, I basically came in a very conservative environment. And at that time, businesses coming in wanting to get financing, we were asking them for at least 25 to 30% into the deals, where they had been able to get, you know, 20% was the minimum on a really good deal. You know, maybe they could go a little less. We'd, you know, be a little bit more flexible. So I've been in an environment that's been very conservative, and now when things are getting better, it's kind of nice to see things open up. But, you know, capital is really key because, and cash is king, because if there's a downturn, and there's going to be, something's going to happen in your industry. I mean, things are not going to go awesome all the time. You know, you're going to have to make changes, and if you basically don't have any money in the business and you don't have any money yourself, capital yourself, it's tough to make changes and adjust. You know, how the bank is going to evaluate capital is, you know, literally looking at bank accounts. You know, like I said, if the business owner typically can't come up with 20% of the project, then traditional, conventional, commercial financing is just probably not going to be it for you. But I'm going to talk about other options. The other thing that we're going to look at when you're looking at your profit and loss in your balance sheet of your business is how much money do you actually retain in your business? Do you spend it all? Do you make money in your business and then you take distributions out and go to the Bahamas? You know, those are the kinds of things that the bank is going to look at. And then the other thing, though, that many of you will do, probably, if you are entrepreneurs, is you're going to go out and you're going to raise capital yourself. So you're going to go get investors. There's multiple ways to do that. We touched on that. That's another thing that we look at. And that's a way that you can generate capital to put into your project to secure bank financing. Okay, so lastly of the 5 C's, which is still very important, is conditions. You know, what are the economic conditions of the industry that you're in? You know, I mean, some industries are performing very well right now and some are struggling. And so, you know, what are the conditions like in your industry? What are the conditions like in your metropolitan area? I mean, we measure things like that. What's the household income like? What's the average as far as where the business is situated, and how does that affect the purchasing power of your customers? And then also, obviously, the conditions of your business. If the business is, are you hurting somewhere? What's your pain point? You know, are you hemorrhaging cash? Do you have some large expenses? You know, how does the business look itself? And so things that we will look at to, you know, assess that is obviously industry info, current events. I mean, what's current? You know, what's happening currently. I mean, right now, Lincoln is is really a great place to be for entrepreneurs, for businesses, because there's so much investment going on in our community. And there's a ton of real estate development. I mean, just go down in the yard, you got construction projects everywhere. And then for entrepreneurs, I mean, it's like the yard is like a hub for, you know, all these small businesses that are just, you know, really doing well. And the other thing that helps too is we have major corporations that are performing well, you know, like Nelnet, like Creek Carrier, like Assurity. And so a lot of those larger businesses too are investing in smaller businesses. So that plays into conditions too. And, you know, the conditions in the state of Nebraska are pretty good. I mean, I just saw Governor Heinemann, and we won the Governor's Award, I guess, for, it was business income on a per capita basis. So, you know, Nebraska is a pretty great place to be, and Lincoln's a great place to be if you're looking at opening your own business and starting your own company. Okay, so Deb kind of alluded to it. So what do you do if you are light in some areas? Because that happens. I mean, rarely, you know, it does happen. It does happen, but rarely does a business owner come in and everything's perfect, you know, like the Holy Grail, and oh, okay, we'll give you $1 million and send you out the door. There's usually something within the business that, you know, the bank has to mitigate risk. And especially with small businesses that are just opening up, typically where their life is either what Deb touched on, which is collateral, or capital. And so kind of in the traditional bank world, how we can mitigate that risk and somewhat get around it is we can use programs through the Small Business Administration that allow the bank to give the business owner a loan, but then receive a guarantee on the loan. So I give you a loan for $100,000, but maybe you're short on collateral. You know, you have a car that's worth $10,000. Maybe you have an investment account that has $5,000 in it. But you've put together a really good business plan. You've always paid your own personal debt off well. You know, you have a business that's, been around for 2 years and you've managed your business well. Okay, well, we can look at doing an SBA loan. And we can loan you $100,000, and if you qualify, then the SBA is going to give us a guarantee for 75% of the outstanding balance. So let's say on day one, the loan fails, you leave and go to the Bahamas, and we're out. Well, we'll get at least $75,000 of our principal back. So that's a way that we can mitigate our risk. And right now, there are a ton of small companies that are using SBA financing, and have been, especially during the economic downturn when they wanted to get credit, because it was really a way to incent the bank to do it. We just recently, it's really great, we now have our own dedicated SBA loan officer, and his name is James Millets, and we just moved to this platform. So a year ago, when I was assessing credit and doing loans, I would have to do all the SBA work, which it's not that bad, but when you don't do them on a day-to-day level, it's kind of like, I have someone come in, yep, I'm pretty sure they need to be an SBA, I'm pretty sure I need to put them in an express program. Okay, now I gotta get familiar with the forms again and make sure I got all the boxes checked right, and blah. So now we have James Mullins, who, if someone comes in, if one of my customers come in and say, I really like an SBA loan, then I just hand them off to James, and he takes care of everything. It's fabulous. And on our website, you can go to our website and you can, learn all about SBA loans, and you can learn all about conventional, commercial loans too. But this is kind of nice on our site. This is James. Very, very, very nice man. He was going to be here today, but he's on vacation. All right, yeah, let's take it up. Yes, and I'm going to talk about that too. Well, what do I have left on my slide? Well, let's go back.
What do you have left on your slide?
There you go. Help me, Deb.
I'm sorry. Okay, that's the two of you.
Yeah, you can go. Okay, so we've talked about the 5 C's of credit. And basically, again, really these are all looked at the same time, but there's a process to it. Like I said, I'm first going to look at character, and then I'm going to look at cash flow, and if you pass those 2 requirements, we kind of keep going on the line. So I've been working in lending since 2009, and there's people have asked me before, okay, is there any one certain industry that's just like, that's the industry you're in? And I'll tell you, there's not. Because there are businesses that are making money in about every industry you can think of in ways that, which is really why I love what I'm doing, because I get to learn about it. But the people that are successful, one, they work hard every day. They don't give up. I agree that there's always a way that you can work smarter. You can always find efficiencies, but there isn't anything that replaces hard work. Nothing. And many of you are experiencing that now in college. You can go to class, and obviously you guys that are here today, you ladies that are here today, it's beautiful out. So thanks for being here. But they work hard. They don't give up. And I have some customers that are testaments to that. The other thing that's common about really successful people in general, but successful business owners, is they know their product. They know their product inside and out. They know what it costs to make it. They know where they need to sell it. They know who wants to buy it. And they don't stop just because they find out one little piece of information. They're constantly thinking about their product and their business. I have a customer that they develop senior independent living housing. And so I took the customer to the volleyball game. I thought, oh, this will be great. We're going to go to the volleyball game and, maybe have some popcorn and, see the game. And in games, and this would have been the Texas game, And in games 2 and 3, all we did is talk about his business. I mean, he thinks about his business 24/7. And he's very successful. The second thing is they know their people. I mean, I think any successful company, whether it be a company of 2 people or a company of 1,000 employees, the owner knows their people, and they also know their customers. If you don't know your customers, and you don't know your employees, it's hard to be successful. Because if you don't have happy employees that want to come to work and work hard for you every day, it's hard to have happy customers that want to buy your product. And then the third piece, which is what I talked about today, and which I hope you take home with you, because if you do want to open up a business, it will help you. You have to know your financials, and you have to be able to present your financials in a way that makes sense to whoever is sitting across the table from you. Whether it be Mandy, the commercial loan officer, whether it be mom and dad, right? Brother or sister. So a lot of times how small businesses get started is they have family members that say, hey, you know what, I believe in you. Here's $10,000, go make it work. Or it's angel investors. You know, I mean, you have to know your financials, and you have to know how you're going to make money. Because that's the end game. I mean, you can be very passionate about what you're doing, your product. I love shoes. Shoes are great. I love to wear them. I love to buy them. Okay, well, how are you going to make money selling shoes?